1:28. We are back from recess, and there is one additional gentleman who wanted to have his comment read into the record, so I'm going to do that. Greg Tipane does not wish to speak and is opposed to this. And just so folks know, in the beginning, we tried to accommodate people a little bit more because a lot of the questions were the same for most of the people in the room. So we wanted to give them a little extra time so we could answer those questions. And that way, as your name came up, hopefully a lot of those questions were answered, and it shortened the testimony from each of you in this room. We're going to try to be a little more efficient because this meeting has gone way past what we originally scheduled. It was scheduled for 1 hour, and yes, but thankfully, because you all came here, we extended as long as it takes till everyone has a voice. So with that said, we're going to try to be a little bit stricter on the time allotments, ask your questions, and we will try to accommodate you as best as we can.
And we'll try to give you 3 names. So we'll call 3 names at a time, then that way you can line up.
Perfect. Okay, so with that said, we are closing out the post falls and we're moving on, and this is public hearing.
Yes, so Pat, is it all right? We wanted to hear everything and then make individual decisions. Is that okay, or do you need us to make a decision for post falls?
No, deliberating and making your decisions at the very end is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Warren.
All right, and for those of you who are here and you have to leave, this meeting is videoed and you can catch it on the Board of County Commissioners YouTube channel, and you'll find the date and you can see the rest of what happened after you left. So we're going to move on to ORA 25-0012. It's the City of Hayden Area of Impact, and again, we'll begin with our Director, David Callahan.
Commissioners, I have nothing to add for this particular case, but we do have a presentation by Donna Phillips. And Ben, are you going to run the PowerPoint for, or does she have the okay, so you know how to run it from there.
I'll learn, I guess.
Oh.
So just up.
Yes.
All right, sorry. Down we proceed to the next slide. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Donna Phillips, the Community Development Director for the City of Hayden. And louder. Okay, well, that's a new one. All right, I'll bit louder.
Thank you.
Is that better? Hey.
Yeah, angle it more towards you. There you go. That helps.
So I'm not going to try to, Warren did an excellent job explaining why we're here. I'm just going to try to recap quickly. Just that the cities and counties follow the Local Land Use Planning Act, which is part of Idaho state statutes, Title 67, 65, and it provides for cities and counties to follow land use planning at the local level. I can honestly say that we've had people come during their comments to the city and questions, not realizing that there were state statutes that cities and counties had to follow also. So that was the reason for the comment. So a component of that Local Land Use Planning Act addresses these areas of impact that we're looking at today. And cities and counties have this planning area within their respective comprehensive plans. In the current comprehensive plan of the county, much of the area of impact is known as border or transition and addresses the fact that it's in an area that most likely will become a part of a city at some point. It includes future land uses, long-range planning for transportation, parks, utilities, services, et cetera, for both entities. So again, Warren covered this quite well about the fact that none of us are forcing any annexations here. Our area of city impact was first started in 1994. We do have a joint impact kind of arrangement with Post Falls and Rathdrum as part of the shared tier, as well as our exclusive areas of impact. Our proposal for our area of impact is in addition also shrinking, not growing, and the properties, most of the properties have been in this area forever and ever and ever. So this is right off of the kind of the Kootenai County website, and it shows kind of where the city of Hayden is, where that dark pink, those are our city limits today. And the light pink is the area of city impact as it exists today. And the shared tier is the area directly west of Hutter. Then you see Rathdrum up above, and then we bound Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Dalton Gardens, and Hayden Lake. We have been in conversation with all of them. So then why have this boundary? Again, properties will be annexed. It doesn't mean that we'll annex the properties now or ever. It does allow for development within the county. Currently, there are conditions that say that it has to meet city standards, and I would agree that's a really hard thing to do. It doesn't work, and I think that there are definitely ways that we can improve that kind of conversation. Planning doesn't stop at the boundaries. We always look at, how are we going to address those areas that are in our comprehensive plans most notably, and then if we need to extend services beyond, how to allow for that. So, and I also agree with Warren, the sewer master plans are not a 5-year increment. You don't build pipe sizes based on a 5-year growth. You look at a bigger build area, and so a 5-year increment makes no sense whatsoever. So what a boundary does do is that it protects those rights of everybody, inside, outside, cities, and counties. It provides for that planning effort of the service providers. Those could be highway districts, those could be utility providers that are not cities or county, for their planning and for future infrastructure needs. So we're here today because, again, the law changed and it told us to get together and figure out if we needed to confirm our boundaries, amend them, or if we needed to start anew. Cities have been working on this, especially Rathdrum, Post Falls, and Hayden since October of 2024. Most notably because with this law change, the shared tier had to go away. So we had to figure out a solution to that, and we needed to make sure that we didn't have any overlap. We submitted our draft boundary to the county in June of this year. So the other thing that the code amendment to the state code did is it addressed the fact that you shouldn't have long reaches away from your city, no more than 2 miles. All of Hayden's distances are a mile or less. And it said that you needed to look at that, are they going to annex in 5 years thing? And that's really a hard thing to answer. I would agree entirely with Warren. There are lots of things that could facilitate something annexing into the city. It might be new road designs. It might be infrastructure that wasn't there before that is there now. It could be a variety of things. So this is our proposed impact as we provided to the county. I want to note that, and I think I have a pointer on here. Yes? Do I have a pointer? Red button. Okay, good. So all of these properties that are down here, those were in the existing area of impact. They're on municipal sewer. They're on water systems. They're serviced by Lakes Highway District. How would you ever annex them? Why would they ever look to annex? They're entirely built. They're on little small lots. There's no future subdivision potential there. So it didn't make any sense to leave them in the area of impact. Whoops, sorry about that. And then the other piece that we removed is this piece up here. Before the shared tier existed, the city of Hayden's area of impact in 1994 was all the way out to Meyer. Probably made no sense to have it that far out based on the current guidance from the state. But today, it may make some sense. However, Rathdrum has decided that they are migrating south in this neck of the woods. And so having our area of impact go all the way north to the railroad tracks as what was originally there didn't make any sense today. So then we look at anticipated growth. So we have the 4 stars, our annexations that are currently in process moving forward that would get entirely derailed if we don't have a map. The ones in blue are projects that folks have shown an interest in coming into the city in the last 2 to 3 years.
The light blue.
In the light blue lines, yes, correct. Yeah. Keep going from there. So the city of Hayden recently updated their comprehensive plan, and they did that after we had sent the proposed area of impact. So our updated comprehensive plan reflects that. We recognize that that boundary may change as a result of these proceedings, but wanted to note that it is encompassed in our long-range plans, both here and in our other long-range plans as well. A couple of pointed pieces is that on the previous map, we had identified that these folks up here were interested in annexation. This green piece of property is land application that's owned by the Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board. It butts up against our city boundary, like right there. These properties here, these are all owned by one single property owner. So they could potentially come in as a single annexation. So, you know, as you're trying to figure out where to draw these lines, it makes sense to have them bordering a known roadways. And so that's the mile distance to the north. It also lines up with the city limits on the east side of Government Way. Hutter Road is taken into, and I know Hutter Road is a big deal, but we're still 2 of the last 4 options that they're reviewing, and so it would be remiss for us to not recognize the fact that we have protected the Hutter Road corridor in all of our long-range plans since forever, long time. And the properties that have annexed into the city, both on this side and on this side, south of the airport, these folks and the ones on the right-hand side, they had, in their annexation agreements, have set aside areas for the Hutter corridor that's required by our long-range plans. So we take that into effect when we're looking at the right-hand side or the left-hand side of Hutter, the west side of Hutter. Again, protection of the Hutter corridor and the airport as well, which is almost entirely surrounded by the city. So just as a, you know, when we're looking at the kind of the transportation network, the fact that we surround an airport entirely, and the services that we provide. Transportation plan shows transportation corridors and future transportation corridors, and the sewer master plan shows where we anticipate future sewer. This is one of the areas that you received lots of comments from in the packet of public comments. It is enclave. It is on water, private wells that are in there, but every single one of those small lots is on septic, individual septics. The city does surround them. So if sewer, as Warren had identified, if sewer became a concern, most likely they would be directed to a municipality to try to resolve. School districts. So the city of Hayden, as you notice, diagonally is cut in half by Lakeland School District and Coeur d'Alene School District, excuse me. The city annexed the property directly west of Hutter at the corner of Hutter and Prairie, and that was in the Post Falls School District. So Warren had identified that he had tried to follow the school district boundaries pretty closely. Those are all on the exterior extents of those districts, and potentially there could work some kind of cross agreement between them that would allow students to go to one district versus the other, as we have seen across the city with Lakeland and Coeur d'Alene. And then infrastructure by others. The city of Hayden isn't a water purveyor. The 3 main water purveyors in the area are North Kootenai Water District, Avondale Irrigation District, and Hayden Lake Irrigation District. And they service folks both within the city and within our area of impact. We have a note in the file from the Hayden Lake Watershed District, and they had concerns about the area that is south of Honeysuckle and north of Hayden Lake Road. And most notably, the only reason that this slide is in here is that there seem to be some inconsistencies in the letter that was provided. So these are two documents from that conservation easement, Exhibit B and Exhibit C. Exhibit B, the 65-acre conservation easement, covers two properties that are in the county and two properties that are in the city today. The Exhibit C on the right-hand side shows the developable area by the conservation easement, the only area on that entire property that could develop. And the only access to those 8.18 acres is from the city of Hayden roadway system. There isn't another access today, not saying that there couldn't be, but today the only access is there. And to my knowledge, they're not connected to sewer. So should that ever develop in accordance with their limited ability to develop on that site, that's the area that is there. Additionally, at least at my last look in the record, there isn't any comments from any of the property owners nor the conservatorship itself in the record, just as a matter of interest. So the boundary map drawn is to meet the factors identified. Properties, again, are not known. If they are, they aren't going to actually pull that plug. So based on the analysis that we have before us, again, these are areas that could be served should they request to be annexed and be annexed in the next 5 years. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just two. Is Hayden looking to purchase any open space for open space purposes?
Outside of the city limits today, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And then would it be detrimental if the airport was not included on the map?
The airport, not necessarily. I will leave it at that. I will note that the airport that's in gray, that's in the county, also owns airport property that is in the city as well. So we own property both ways. We have been in discussion with the airport. We have a long portion of chapter in our comprehensive plan about working with the airport and about looking at possibility of having some overlay zoning associated to the airport specifically so that the properties that are in the city are also treated very similar to the way that they're treated in the county to make sure that there's no disconnect.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. We will go right into public testimony here. Donna Phillips, you're on here, so did you want to make a separate comment?
No, that's
Okay.
applicant.
Yeah. Eric Shanley wishes to speak, neutral. Mr. Shanley, are you here? I know I saw you earlier. Scott MacArthur is neutral. Did you want to speak? Okay. Ray Kimball wishes to speak, is neutral. Mr. Kimball.
We
Probably
heard
went
his-
over a lot longer
Yeah.
than what people expected.
Well, and we heard his comments on postal.
Yes. Jeff Harvey wishes to speak. Opposed? Come on down. You have 3 minutes.
I'm Jeff Harvey. I'm representing the Hayden Lake Watershed Improvement District, or Watershed Association, I'm sorry. She spoke, it was the association that made the comment, not the district. I live 5925 East Hayden Lake Road, Hayden, Idaho. We are not, saying we're opposed to this is a little bit of an overstatement. We're opposed to one little section of it. That's that 70 acres bounded on the north by Honeysuckle Avenue and on the west and the south by East Hayden Lake Road. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a very important piece of property because that's where Hayden Lake dewaters to the aquifer. And it's a very important piece of property. And thanks to the Richards family, it is in a conservation easement, which is ironclad, and there is no development on that property. And the other 5 acres, 5 1/4 actually, there's a little 1/4 acre landlocked by the Richards property, which was the old Dalton irrigation pumping station before the dike was built. That belongs to Dalton Irrigation with a long history is actually given to the Watershed Improvement District years and years ago, and the original Watershed Improvement District. Whatever, we're opposed to this. First of all, this is about area of impact and development. There cannot be any development on this property. When this went before the Planning Commission, and we testified there, it was brought up, the only reason Hayden brought up for having this was that the Richards property sewer might fail on what is arguably probably the most permeable property in the county. But if it did, the Hayden Lake Sewer District's interceptor is right across the street from the Richards home. That's where it would go. It would not go to the city of Hayden. Hayden provides no services here. The sewer district provides all the sewer. The roads, the Lakes Highway District is the roads. Sheriff, of course, and North Kootenai Water. So there's nothing provided here. So if this is about future development, why are you putting an area in that can't be developed? And literally the other little 5 acres, by the way, is primarily the Feller Ditch. That's the ditch running below the small outlet of the lake. Also very important to the aquifer, because during low flow events, low flow discharge over the dike, that's where most of the water goes to infiltrate the aquifer. A very important piece of property that the association thinks should be under county purview.
Thank you. Okay, good timing there. So next up is Warren Olson, wishes to speak, is opposed.
First of all, thanks for affording me the opportunity to speak. I live at 5903 West Harvest, which is in the Morrison Estates area. I'm not a professional planner, nor do I play one on television, so I'm not sure where exactly I'm coming from, but I am a logical thinker and I am community focused, and those are what brings me to the microphone. If I were planning, I would look at major natural barriers, roads, rivers, mountains, whatever that would be. Hutter, to me, is a natural boundary that we've all been talking about for 20 years, about the Hutter bypass. We've been talking about, I'm retired from the Coeur School District. I understand the school district boundaries, and we had to move the one that went through the middle of Landings and make it over to Hutter because it made more sense. Those boundaries were established when Sacagawea and Lewis Clark sat down around the campfire and said, okay, here's the boundaries. There's no really logic to it. They've been done 1,000 years ago. So to me, it doesn't make sense because there's a sliver of land there, if you look at the map, that to the east of Hutter is Coeur d'Alene, to the west of Hutter is Post Falls until you get north of Prairie, and then Hayden Lake is on the east, and now they're proposing that the area of impact include my development, which is on the west side of Hutter. So to me, it's a natural boundary. I'm not sure if we can pull it up a little closer so I could show you what I'm talking about. The other portion of that, I think community is important to remember. And most of us in that development, we shop in Post Falls. We have Post Falls post office boxes. We go to church there. It's whatever. So if I could come up here and show you this, here's where we're at. Down here is Prairie. Here's Hayden. Here's Post Falls. Here's Coeur d'Alene. Here's Hayden Avenue, and here we are to the west, here's Harvest Avenue. We're to the west of Hutter. To me, Hutter is a natural north-south.
I'm going to have you go back to the microphone so people can hear you.
Okay. To me, Hutter is a natural north-south boundary, and it would make sense that we would be in the Post Falls area of impact. Growth is inevitable. I understand it. I know we're going to get there. What I'm here to tell you is in my neighborhood, we would prefer to be in the Post Falls area of impact if we must have one rather than the Hayden Lake one, because we see Hutter as dividing us eventually as the Hutter bypass becomes reality And the other portion of that is we're all connected to Post Falls more than we would be to Hayden, just in distance-wise, with shopping, with the churches we go to, the post offices we have, and all those other things. So to me, it doesn't make logical sense. Again, I said I wasn't a planner, but if you look at the map and you can see where there's just a little glimmer of hope there, where we're over to the west and now it's Hayden's impact. If you look at that and you agree with me, then you can smell what I'm stepping in and think that that's not a good idea.
Mr. Olson, thank you so much. Next up, Bill Lenz may wish to speak in favor. Is Mr. Lenz here? No, okay. Ian Shepard may wish to speak opposed. Mr. Shepard. Okay. Teresa London does not wish to speak, is opposed. Sam Meredith may wish to speak, opposed. Okay, that's it. Is there anyone else here from Hayden who would like to speak? Come on down. Just state your name for the record, please. Oh, just when you get to the microphone.
Rob Chase, and I'm actually in the Post Falls area, but this is a general question for all the city, Coeur d'Alene, Hayden, whatever. So if your area of impact is adopted, do you follow county, city codes and ordinance and rules and building permitting?
I believe we discussed that it was all county.
So now, per commissioners, you cannot go into the county and make a vote, even now that your area of impact is adopted, and change the ordinances. Because the way I understand is that the commissioners can make a vote in that area now.
You're subject to the county land use, which can change, but typically the city.
And so you can go and change it if
Well,
there's.
but it's applied county-wide. It's not applied to that specific region. So if the county were to change, if we were to change a land use ordinance, it would apply for the entire county.
Annexed.
Well,
No.
annexed is different. That's when you've actually opted in to become part of the city.
Yes, but you can force the county to follow city ordinances in that area if the commissioners voted in.
Okay.
Let me, sorry.
You wanna go ahead? Go
Today
ahead.
is about a map only. So I understand where you're saying, and if the city
That's a
comes
big-
back, no, I understand, but if the city comes back to us and says, we want these regulations, that's a whole nother public hearing where people get to weigh in. I am going to propose later during deliberations an opt-out process where a homeowner who does not want to be in the area of impact can sign a document, I'm opting out. And so even if the county commissioners adopt city ordinances for the AOI, those opted out people won't be subject to them. They'll just be subject to the county.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Did you want to have an opportunity to
Rebut.
rebut that at all, Ms. Phillips?
All right. I just do have a couple questions. What would it mean if we took, I mean, obviously you've got part of the city and you have that little square down there, but what would it mean if the map was approved without the west of Hutter?
I don't think it matters. At this point, the only concern that I have is the setback area along Hutter Road itself until such time that somebody decides something about something with Hutter Road.
Yeah.
So that would be my only concern as far as that area. I think we are working well with the airport and preserving their abilities.
Okay. And so, Mr. Callahan, are we in that area, are we recognizing the potential Hutter bypass in the future, and are we taking that into consideration for those properties?
We, the county, don't have anything on the map, so to
Okay.
speak, for that. And it's also being reconsidered, you may know, by Idaho Transportation Department in a very broad way all across the county. So it's premature, even though it's been in the planning process for 20 years.
Okay.
It's premature to assume that Hutter's going to develop as a new road.
And that's just because it hasn't been finalized. It's been discussed, but not finalized.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions? No. No, okay, so then we will move on to ORA 25-0013, City of Coeur d'Alene, Area of Impact, and again, Director Callahan.
Commissioners, Hillary Patterson's here today to give you a presentation, and I really don't have anything to add at this point.
Great. Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us today. Hillary Patterson, Community Planning Director, City of Coeur d'Alene, and I'm joined by Sean Holm, our Senior Planner, and Chris Bosley, City Engineer, if there's additional questions for them. So I'll go through kind of the items on this slide, kind of give you some background and how we came to our area of impact boundaries, some annexation history, potential annexations and implications if we don't have a map in place by December 31st. So here is a map just showing our city limits outlined in kind of the neon green, and you can see even with this map kind of some of the topography surrounding us, and we're very well aware we have the lake and the river as some other topographic challenges and geographic limitations for how we would grow. This is our current area of city impact boundary, and as the others have mentioned, we've had long-standing agreements and ordinances in place since ours has been since 1993. And so this is the map that we have now, and we are looking at shrinking it. So this is what we are looking at, and it'll be a little bit more clear on some of the next few slides how we are proposing to shrink that. We did submit the revised map to the county in October. We did meet with the other jurisdictions a year ago, October, and then our city council approved the boundaries on November 4th of this year, subject to county commissioner's decision. And then this really shows you the areas where we are removing from our growth areas, and this one also. Hopefully that helps really show clearly. This map shows the unincorporated areas within the proposed AOI, and you can see a lot of those enclaves already within the city limits. And then we have areas where we are surrounding some of the county enclaves as well. Our comprehensive plan, when we did this, it was in 2022. We have our future land use map with that, and that was based on the area of city impact. And we did show kind of a Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls potential growth area that was part of that shared tier as well. And so we do plan for those areas. It was the land use designation, if it were to be annexed in, as single-family neighborhood. And we also do all of our other master plans based on a 20-year horizon, like the other communities have said. And our wastewater and water both looked at the area of city impact, so kind of looking broader for a 20-year horizon. So this is our wastewater master plan. And this is kind of a helpful illustration to show wastewater infrastructure, and those red circles show where we do have service outside of city limits. So we do have frequently people come to the city and say, well, we were subdivided in the county, and now we have some limitations on septic, and would you help us out? And so we have some good neighbor agreements where they consent to annex in the future, and that's true with water and wastewater. Here is our water master plan. So this also shows that we look beyond. So this aligns with our comprehensive plan as well as the area of city impact for future water service areas. And this also, in the next image there, shows the areas that are outside of city limits where we do offer city water, but that's not best practice. We would rather have properties annexed in if they want our city water and sewer for obvious reasons. So this map, hopefully this will toggle on as we show it. So Sean prepared this, and it's a really nice time-lapse image, because I guess the question keeps coming up, like, why are you coming up with these boundaries? And this shows you over time annexations in the city of Coeur d'Alene from 1970 to 2024. And so you just don't know. We might have a tiny annexation one year, and then we'll have a giant one the next year. So, and it's all around the city where we've had these annexations. Our most recent large one was almost 500 acres, the Coeur site. And that one popped up in yellow. So I think that's a pretty impactful image. And here are some potential annexation parcels where we've had property owners come to the city and say, hey, what can we explore annexation, and what does that look like? So again, you can see that's all around the city limits where we're having these inquiries at least, and some of them may not be viable, but other ones are either in process or have asked about it. Also, some of the things that we looked at just to make sure we're complying with the state statutes is, in addition to the master planning and the statutory factors, all the other infrastructure, the requests we've received for services, but emergency response is a big thing for us as well, just with the steep slopes and the wildland urban interface and the grades of some of the roads and the driveways, which would be more difficult for us to serve with our fire trucks, our ladder trucks, water pressure issues for trying to have fire hydrants because we don't have the ability to have water on our trucks, and soils and mudslides is a big issue, as well as kind of looking at what has happened over time for annexations. There are some implications for sure if we don't have the maps approved, and the others have spoken about this as well, but it really does create this complicated and expensive and time-consuming process if we have to go through this process again if we don't meet the December 31st deadline. And it also does, in essence, create a moratorium. If we don't have a map in place, there are property owners that will be impacted. And this slide here shows we have 3 right now. We had one that had an annexation hearing. City Council approved it, but just based on staffing limitations, we couldn't get the annexation brought forward, and so we've held off on publication of the annexation ordinance. So they're ready to be annexed in. They've had multiple attempts, finally got annexed in. And then we have another one just submitted. We're waiting for today's hearing and decision on this map to send out our notices for a January 13th public hearing on another annexation. And then we have a gas station off Government Way, and they have a failing septic system, and they urgently need to be brought into the city to have that service. So. And just, I think it's important to note, as the other one said, we're not going out there and saying we want you to annex. These are requests from property owners. So again, here is the map that we are seeking approval from you today. And with that, we would stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I just have a couple real quick. You have this map up here. Every annexation that has occurred over the last 20 years was willingly, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so if you could go back to that map that you had just up there before, it goes way out to the east, right? So is there an expectation that you're actually going to annex that land within 5 years?
We don't know. I mean, that's like all the other cities have said. We gave it our best guess and kind of followed the state statutes requirements, looked at our master planning, and just looked at where property owners have come to us and said we'd like annexation. So it's a trickle-down effect. So if someone comes in to the east and then someone to the east of them says, oh, now you're in the city, I want to annex in. We don't know. We did shrink it back quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of our best guess.
Okay, but if that was even shrunk further, it wouldn't really affect anything because you could still continue to annex, right? And then it's just a matter of whether you want to put the infrastructure out there.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we'll move on to some public testimony here. Wade Jacklin may wish to speak in favor. Mr. Jacklin. Darren, forgive me here, is it Dakota? From Sawmill Point Road, does not wish to speak in favor. Scott MacArthur, did not mention if he wants to speak, says neutral. Mr. MacArthur, would you like to speak? Richard Bart wishes to speak, did not say a position. Is there a Richard here? Tom Torgerson wishes to speak, if he's here. Okay, he did not notice whether he was in favor or neutral or anything. Alex Cribley wishes to speak, opposed, come on down.
Good afternoon, Commission. I purchased my property outside of the city limits intentionally. That decision was based on the lifestyle permitted under county zoning, which differs materially from the city. The county zoning framework exists to preserve that distinction, and landowners like myself reasonably rely on it when making long-term property decisions. County zoning allows uses that are fundamental to rural living, such as keeping animals, responsibly exercising firearm use, and remaining self-sustaining through private waste and water systems. These uses are lawful, expected, and appropriate under current county regulations. I live on a private road, and municipal utilities and services would not be extended to my property. I understand the statutory requirements for the county and cities to establish an area of impact. However, the area in which I live is already developed. It functions as a county area, and there are no stated or adopted plans for annexations by the city. Without a defined annexation timeline or demonstrated public need, continued inclusion in an area of impact creates regulatory uncertainty and undermines property owners' ability to rely on existing county zoning. It effectively treats county property as future city property without landowner consent and/or a clear public purpose. Absence a concrete annexation plan, areas of impact should not be used as speculative planning tools. They should reflect realistic, near-term government's needs, not hypothetical future expansion, particularly where annexation does not require property to be included in an area of impact. Finally, this process feels rushed. Notice was provided with the minimum level of requirement, and the maps made available online were vague and difficult to interpret, as others had noticed. I do want to recognize that you guys paused from last month, and I do appreciate that. For these reasons, I respectfully oppose continued inclusion of my area within the area of impact and urge the board to preserve the distinction between county and city governance. The county should remain county, not a placeholder for future city expansion.
Thank you.
For clarity, I'm off of Silver Beach, down in the southeast corner of the map.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call up 3 people, and when the first person comes up, just hang tight until we start the clock. Beverly Powers wishes to speak. Opposed? Just come on up to the podium. I'm going to get a couple people behind you. Dr. William Chapman wishes to speak. Opposed? Are you here? Dr. Chapman. Okay, Sandra Marlowe wishes to speak. If you could just stand up behind Ms. Powers. And one other person, Jenna Butler, may wish to speak. Opposed. Ms. Butler, are you here? Okay, Ms. Powers, go ahead, please.
I understand that the area of impact is just a designated area, and that my concern would be that I don't want to be annexed, but my neighbor does. My neighbor gets annexed, rezoning is done. The city has not been very responsible in my eyes for development, especially along 15th Street. There's been larger parcels of property purchased by developers, and then that comes Townhouse Row, and that not only affects their privacy, but affects the value of their property, of the opposing properties. And I'm against being annexed or even being in the area of impact. I live on Harrison Avenue on Stanley Hill Road.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Thank you, Ms. Powers. Next, Ms. Marlowe.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And many of the questions that I did have been addressed, and I hope honestly answered. I live in the little area called Fairmont Loop, which is above Blackwell. And I just had one question. It was my understanding a couple of years ago, I attended a meeting that they are going to put in a water substation. And I believe that would be the city that goes in down off Canal Street, because that one is in sad disrepair. So I was just curious, I'm assuming that's a city project that would be going in?
Yes.
And would that be a motivating factor for wanting to annex us into? Because the gentleman I spoke with at that meeting said, honestly, we hate to have to do it because it only serves a few people.
I think that's really just a matter, this is about the map, so I don't think I don't think
It's just a curiosity,
yeah.
but it is the city that does do the water because we have city water up
Yeah,
there.
that would be the city to really answer that question.
Yeah, okay, I was just curious, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jenna Butler may wish to speak. Opposed? Are you here? Susan Andrews may wish to speak. Opposed? Come on down. And I think the rest of these does not want to speak, so.
And my husband, Mark Andrews, left, but he's also opposed.
All right,
I
well,
have 2 questions. Could we enlarge the map to the east end of Fernand Lake? And if I may approach and show you where I'm talking about.
sure, go ahead.
Right here. As another gentleman previously said about Hayden, that 105 acres right there is under a conservation easement through Inland Northwest Land Conservancy. So we understood when we put that conservation easement on that there would be no change in perpetuity. So why are we included in an area of impact? And my second question is, if you do go forward, Ms. Duncan, with the opt-out, for clarification, is that opting out of the
Area of impact.
AOI?
Yes.
Or is it opting out of saying, no, we'll be in the AOI, but we don't want to annex?
It would be opting out of the AOI.
Okay. That's my only questions.
All right, well, thank you. Okay, Mark Andrews does not wish to speak, is opposed.
He went to work.
Okay. Delbert Long does not wish to speak, is opposed. August Mack does not wish to speak, opposed. Angus Lovett does not wish to speak, opposed. Judy Chapman does not wish to speak, opposed. Leslie Barrios, opposed, did not mention speaking. Did you want to speak? Come on down. Is there a Stephen Powers here? Got to get you to line up behind Ms. Barrios.
He doesn't want to.
You don't want to speak? What about Matthew Beam? Oh, no, does not want to speak. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak and taking my calls. My name is Leslie Barrios, and I live on the southeast hillside slopes above Silver Beach, that lower area down there, below I-90 that has been on the map for a while. I'm asking you to remove the hillsides east of Silver Beach Road from the Coeur d'Alene area of impact. While this area has appeared on AOI maps since at least 2007, those boundaries were drawn broadly, without a field survey, and do not reflect current development realities, as density is being prioritized within the city. These hillsides are fundamentally different from the city grid to the west, yet that distinction is not reflected in the AOI boundaries. Steep terrain, low-density housing, limited access, and reliance on natural water resources make it impractical for the city to extend water, sewer, road maintenance, fire, and police services. This is also a wildfire-prone area, as identified by the Idaho Fire Hazard Map. Increasing density here would create service obligations the city cannot reasonably meet without major and costly infrastructure expansion. Residents in these hills rely on individual wells and have intentionally chosen this area for its rural character and self-sufficiency. Expanding the AOI places pressure on the county to apply more urban-style standards, which can threaten groundwater resources. Runoff from these slopes funnels directly into Coeur d'Alene Lake, and the trees in this area are frequented by bald eagles during this time of year. Increased density would increase traffic, noise, and air pollution for users of the Centennial Trail, while negatively impacting the surrounding forest and wildlife that give this area its value. Idaho law states that areas of impact shall not exceed the areas that are very likely to be annexed to the city within the next 5 years. Yet we've been on this map since at least 2007. AOIs must be tied to realistic near-term service feasibility, not speculative or aspirational growth. Broad AOIs encourage leapfrog development and undermine rural landscapes valued by residents and visitors alike. For these reasons, I respectfully ask you to exclude the hillsides above and to the east of Silver Beach from the area of impact. This area is neither feasibly annexable nor realistically developable within the next 5 to 10 years, and state law is clear that AOIs must reflect near-term realistic expansion. I also wanted to note that during the meeting, other things came up. I'm concerned about attempts to reduce city regulations to match county regulations, as it could weaken legal rationale for rural protections and zoning over time. AOI inclusion is not neutral for a non-annexing property owner. The downsides are structural, cumulative, and difficult to reverse. Early AOI discussions feel collaborative, but as the city grows, rural AOI areas become a pipeline, not a choice. County discretion erodes as planned city expansion is the assessed outcome. This is how AOIs function statewide. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Beam does not wish to speak, is opposed. Christy Boss does not wish to speak, opposed. Patricia Golden does not wish to speak, opposed. Diana Nottage is opposed, and there was no room to sit, so I think she took off. Cynthia Shenton does not wish to speak, opposed, and Christina Long does not wish to speak, opposed. And with that said, is there anything that you would like to add or rebut for the city of Coeur d'Alene?
I don't have anything to rebut. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any of those. I think most of those areas were kind of on the periphery of the boundaries, so, and we certainly didn't look parcel by parcel and look at the topography of each lot when we did the map.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there any
Question.
You have a question? Go ahead.
If Silver Beach is removed and if the conservation area is removed, is that a problem for the city?
Not at all.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up will be ORA 25-0018, City of Rathdrum Area of Impact. It's an action item. And for this, we hope that we can be very expedient. Commissioner Duncan, I think you have a commitment, and eventually I will have a commitment. So, Director Callahan.
Commissioner James Agadias is here to talk with you about this proposal.
Yes, Commissioners, I am James Agadias. I'm the city planner for the city of Rathdrum. We are going to make this very fast. I'm not going to rehash the things that the other three cities have done here. We all collaborated, we sat down, we discussed our areas of impact. If you look at the city of Rathdrum's proposed area of impact on the screen right now, you will see that the city is not planning, intending, or anything to go south of Hayden Avenue. That was kind of a decision made with the city of Post Falls as our dividing line. There is, I believe, 3 parcels that the city of Post Falls owns north of Hayden, but they are in allocation properties for treated wastewater in the future. All of the boundaries are well within 2 miles of the city limits. The biggest expanse is in the southwest and the northeast, where it approaches 1.25 miles. We did provide a map that shows the old area of impact and the proposed area of impact. Thank you, Ben. That's the correct map, yes. Okay, so it is hard to see on there. Can you go to the next map, maybe? There is one in, that one right there shows the gray area. It's kind of hard to see. That is the current area of city impact, and the pink on there is the proposed, showing a pretty substantial reduction in that. I would like to say that the city of Rathdrum is pretty stoked that the shared tier area of impact is going away. We firmly believe that over the last 15 years has caused kind of a land rush on the prairie. All the cities trying to get as much land as they could annexed before the other city got it. So we're pretty excited about that. Ben, if you could go back to the previous map again. This also shows in blue areas of where we've been approached for annexation purposes. You can see to the south and to the north, we've got a lot. There's a circle in the Hidden Valley Road area. There is a piece of the city of Rathdrum adjacent to the highway on the south side at the intersection of Greens Ferry that was adopted about 30 years ago. It has been sitting undeveloped because it has no water and sewer available to it. But the city right now is working on extending water and sewer with developers to that property, and then that expansion of services enables the entire Hidden Valley area, especially adjacent to the highway. And that's why that is the only place where our area of impact is proposed to expand to include that. Because the potential for commercial growth in the highway corridor there, once water and sewer are provided, is exponential. And really, with the city of Post Falls to the south and the city of Hayden to the east, our only avenues for growth in the future are to the north and to the west on Highway 53, and those areas are represented on this map. As far as any other comments, sure, we are certainly willing to opt out. This is a planning tool. I believe that people should, if they don't want to be included, they shouldn't. I'm not sure that that is something that should be included as a map adoption. We think that's more appropriate in the text that's coming up, so that a process is laid out where people could either come in or go out by application. And I think that that is all I have for you.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. We'll go into public testimony here. Peggy Murray does not wish to speak. In favor?
Because they're now not in the AOI anymore.
Okay, well, Paul Murray does not wish to speak. In favor? Rhodey Kimball wishes to speak, is neutral. Last name Kimball? No?
It might be Ray.
Is it? Maybe it is Ray.
It is Ray.
Ray? Ray Kimball?
Oh, he spoke earlier.
John Butler does not wish to speak, is neutral. Scott MacArthur does not wish to speak. Neutral, work to fix ASAP. Paul Bartamioli wishes to speak, is opposed. Is Paul here? No? Okay. LJ Esom wishes to speak, opposed. Mary White may wish to speak, opposed. Come on down.
My name is Mary White. I live on Hidden Valley Road on St. Teresa's Way. I'm also the precinct woman in Rathdrum, and when the postcard came out, I was inundated with emails and phone calls and texts. So I'm representing the people in Hidden Valley Road area that can't be here because they're working. So if you can zoom in on that map where St. Teresa's Way is. We were all really shocked that when we got this postcard, because we're a very rural area. Everybody has at least 5 acres. Some of us have 20 or 40 or more. And we're right next to the state game land, which I noticed also is in the area of impact, which doesn't make sense to me. So I'm questioning that. I understand south of 53, that commercial area south of 53, but north of 53 there, that shouldn't be in the area of impact. I'm respectfully requesting that we reevaluate that rural land. I don't think there's any chance it's going to be annexed in the next 5 years.
Thank you. The David L. Hammond, it's a trust, wishes to speak, is opposed, and the applicant representative.
David Heyman, P.O. Box 3311, Hayden. I own 160 acres at the intersection of Greens Ferry and Wyoming. I've had a conditional zoning development agreement with Kootenai County for mining for about 25 years. Things are working beautifully. We are able to, I lease this property now to Interstate Concrete and Asphalt, and we're able to provide really economical construction materials for the benefit of Kootenai County. Rathdrum is proposing to put me into their area of impact. That property's still got 60, 70 million tons of gravel. It's going to be basically a gravel mine for 50, more likely to 100 years. We don't really need any Rathdrum city services. The sewer line runs right on my side of Greens Ferry for a half mile. We've got 2 wells producing about 7 million gallons a day with, of course, approved water rights. We've got no load limit roads, Greens Ferry and Wyoming, both for the half mile of my frontage for handling heavy truck traffic. So I don't really require any service from the city of Rathdrum or even from the city of Post Falls, which is on my southern boundary. So I'm requesting to opt out of this map. Now, the question I've got is I've heard the term opt-out mentioned several times. If you approve this map as is, what's going to be the process for me to opt out of the Rathdrum proposed area of impact?
So again, the commissioners have not discussed this, so this is an idea that I have. And the process is going to have to be talked with legal and with stakeholders. This gentleman here had mentioned in the narrative. So right now, today, we're only looking at maps. There will be narratives in the future that go along with it. And when the narrative comes out, one idea is that there's language in the narrative that says anybody who, presents the opt-out form to the county will be opt-out of the, essentially the area of impact.
That's going to be another hearing or what?
Likely it will be, because we're not prepared today to get a process in place to make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I have the opportunity to opt out, sometime in the future.
We'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kent Easom may wish to speak neutral. Is Kent in the room? Shannon Edwards may wish to speak. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Shannon Edwards, and I live in Rathdrum off of, in Coeur Crossing off of Lancaster and Lyons. I just had a couple questions on that. Warren just told me about it earlier, but the legislature was amended on the area of impact law in 2024. My question to you guys is, why did it take so long to get to us so that we can talk about all of this? And why is it taking so long to get to this point, one? And the other question is you have 8 days to make a decision on this. You have less than 2 weeks to make a decision on whether we're going to do this or not. So my question to all of you is, why did it take so long from last year to December when everybody is just now finding out about it?
Well, a lot of this started at the very beginning of this year, 2025, okay? And not all of the cities were responsive in time. And so as a result of that, it just kept getting closer and closer and closer to the deadline. Without these maps in place, all annexation stops. So really what this is this is an effort to get at least the maps memorialized so that the annexations that are already in the pipeline do not stop. Okay, and then the ordinance and everything else is done afterwards. Okay?
Well, that was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Rachel Regan may wish to speak. Opposed. Is Rachel in the room? Albert Girth may wish to speak. Opposed. Albert? Sam Meredith may wish to speak. Opposed. Matthew Beam does not wish to speak. Opposed. Come on down. Are you Mr. Beam? Okay.
So for the record, I had mistakenly submitted one on one of the forms that was for Coeur d'Alene, I think.
Okay.
Rathdrum resident. I live at 14821 North Starina Road, off of Hidden Valley Road. And we've heard a number of times today that we're here only to vote on the map. 2 sales points that I heard were county land use rules will be put into effect, and that the AOI maps are all smaller than what they were. The question I have is the legality of the maps being drawn up. The law mandates that they have to be, in a timely manner, able to be annexed within 5 years. All the authorities from the different municipalities have said 5 years is not a practical time frame in which to even consider annexation because it's based upon infrastructure. So my question is, if the maps were not drawn up by the criteria of the law, then they're illegal maps. The second point that I would say is that Commissioner Duncan has been talking all afternoon about putting in place an opt-out, which means that she's not voting on the maps as they exist right now. I'm for the opt-out, but I'm for the maps being erased because they're illegal. I called planning in Rathdrum and spoke with the planner, and he would not answer if my property would be annexed within the next 5 years, the potential. He said to me, the law is not that it has to be within a 5-year time frame. It has to be a potential. And I included that in my letter to the commissioners that I submitted to you. So my major concern is that these maps are illegal because they do not conform to the mandates of the law. And so can you vote today for an illegal map? And if you're already envisioning all these opt-outs, are you even voting on the maps today? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Beam. Ron Ailes does not wish to speak. Opposed? Bev Girth is opposed, but there's no comment about whether or not to speak. Is Bev in the room? Greg Tepane does not wish to speak. Opposed? And Mr. Beam, your comments that you gave me earlier, I'm not sure they need to be read into the record because we're doing exactly what your comments reference. And Tim Regan does not wish to speak. Opposed. And that is it. And did you want to speak? Are you a Rathdrum resident?
No.
That's fine.
Come on up. Come on up.
East Harrison, Coeur d'Alene, Cynthia Shenton. I was just looking for clarification on the opt-out of the AOI. If that is voted in and if you do an opt-out, how will we know?
That's something that has to be, I
It'll
think,
be a
worked
public
out.
hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how will we know about the public hearing? Oh, you'll let us know with the postcards?
Well, not necessarily, but it will be publicized heavily.
In what ways are you required to publicly let us know?
Well, it depends on the route it takes. If it's going part of the narratives with the cities, it's going to be a 30-day notice, and, there'll be plenty of public outreach. Might even do some television spots, I don't know.
Okay, it's hard to know what's going on.
Yes.
Yes.
Anywhere.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to speak, sir? Come on down.
I was curious, why do you want to zone that section of Hayden? What's the motivation behind that?
Well, that's what Hayden presented to the board, so we don't know what they're,
Well, I know you guys, there's a reason they want to make it annex that area, but why would they want to do that? Why would Rathdrum want to give it up?
well, that's between the cities. We are presented,
What that answer is?
no, we don't, because the cities had,
So does Rathdrum surrender that to them, or how's that going to work?
well, I don't think it's, and this is part of the
Ron
problem,
might be able to
but
answer.
Are we speaking about the airport and what?
Yeah, because I live on a memory lane right by the airport, and that whole area.
Because most of the airport and the impact zones for it are already addressed by the city of Hayden, so it was easier for them to adopt the entire airport impact zone than for us to have a little piece of it at the end. So that wasn't.
Well, it's not really, it's like a chunk, it's like you guys carved out a chunk just
It
for
was
the
like a
airport.
quarter acre, it's the entire quarter section.
Oh, I know what it looks like, I seen what it
But
looks like.
that was why, because Hayden is already maintaining and enforcing
Well, how's it
those things.
maintaining any of it when I got my own well, I got my own septic tank? How's it maintaining
It had to
anything?
do with the airport impact zones.
So
No,
is that
it's
if
not-
you want to expand the airport?
okay, hold on, sir.
This is not a debate.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm just asking.
you can direct them to us, and then we will.
Well, you have told me to talk to this guy, so I'm just.
Well, yeah, but we were looking at answering one question, but it ended up being several more, and
It's just sort of odd to me that he's saying that they already take care of it. In reality, we all take care of ourselves. We're all on our own septic, our own well, we're all on the Happy Trail water system. So where's the city of Hayden taking care of that?
yeah.
How's that addressed?
Well,
I don't want, like, when you say opt out, I don't want to opt out. I don't even want to be in the city of Hayden. So I think that opting out is going to be a can of worms you guys are opening up for all these honest people here. So I think that's a load of poo-poo. So I'm
Well,
just being
duly
honest.
noted.
Thank you. That's all I
right.
got to say, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Did you want to speak, sir? Come on down. Is there anyone else in the room that does want to speak? You could stand behind this gentleman when he finishes. No, go ahead. Please state your name for the record.
Michael Martin. I live on 11766 North Idaho Road, Rathdrum, and Idaho Road. North is on the other side of 53. Anyways, what I'd like to know is, if we get annexed in, Rathdrum says that they'll plow our road, Idaho Road, within 24 hours. School buses are on that road in the morning at 6 o'clock. So what good does that do us? And there's other people out there that have shooting range. That's in the county. If you annex this into the city, they can't do it.
Yeah, annexing and the maps are two different things. Annexing is when you actually, you voluntarily put your property into the city itself. This has nothing to do with that. This is just a map that says basically the cities are looking at, if they were to expand, it would include that area where presumably your property is.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, it's going to hurt a lot of people.
Understood.
Yeah, you know, and they're just land grabbing is all they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, for the taxes. So.
Thank
anyway,
you.
That's all I had to say.
Well, thank you very much. Okay.
I have no rebuttal, sir.
Okay. Any questions by the board up here? I think we're done. We can, I'll take a motion to end public testimony and go into deliberations.
So I move that we end public testimony and enter into deliberations for ORA 25-009, 12, 13, and 18.
Second.
Commissioner Eberlein?
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Tari?
Aye. Thoughts?
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts here. Sorry, I just want to save my notes so they don't go away. I think we have two issues going on here. I think that approving some sort of map today for the four entities will help them with the annexations that are in play. So my concern is that if we don't do that, then that will hurt property owners who have voluntarily come to the cities for their annexations. I am willing to shrink several of the maps. I think what probably would have been helpful is each city having their own workshop with us to show what was, what is, and what the information, was. So again, this is new. It's, the legislature says, hey, get this done. You don't really know until you get into it what is needed. I'm really in favor of an opt-out situation where the residents say, in my lifetime, I'm never gonna annex. So, and then if they sell or somebody else owns it, they can come and they can opt in. I'm in favor of that. And I am really concerned, and I'm glad we're doing maps only today and not talking about the narratives, because I'm one of those county folks who don't want to live by city rules, and that's why I make sure my kids know CPR, and we have a fire extinguisher, and, we're fairly independent. So I want to definitely honor those. I've heard everybody talk today and the concerns they have, and I agree with those concerns. So with that, how we go forward, it, is might be a little bit messy, because I think there's several places that will be easy just to strike from the maps. And I'm definitely willing to, this is an ongoing conversation. This is not over. And so I want the cities to know that I'd just like to know more and be able to cooperate better in the future.
Commissioner Eberlein.
I like opt-out, and for various reasons. Let's do it.
Well, here's the thing, is that as we were going through this hearing today, what I realized was that, there's, what is trying to be accomplished and how does it affect landowners, property owners, right? Well, the first thing is that we have to have something for the cities in order for them to continue the annexation process, right? If there is no boundary, then the cities cannot annex, and that pretty much ends this discussion right there. But what I'm hearing, and I would feel the exact same way with the community, is that I don't like the idea of having a city putting a crosshair on my property where they may or may not annex somewhere around me in the future. And so what I would argue is that because mechanically the map is only the boundary, whatever that boundary is just so the cities can continue the annexation process. Not one property was annexed without two willing and consenting parties. So I would argue that not only do we do the opt-out, but that we make the maps, we agreed today that those maps are not beyond 1/8 of a mile. And the reason I say 1/8 of a mile is because we've had such a problem notifying property owners that if they don't get that postcard, if they don't know about what happens, then their property is automatically included in the map. And again, the map doesn't mechanically change the process of annexation. And so let's have fewer people to opt out, give the cities at least a boundary so that they can continue this process because it's willing owner and willing city that agree to that. And it doesn't look like a land grab because quite frankly, when I look at the maps, it looks like a land grab, right? And I don't like that. And so that's where I'm kind of at with this. Let's make it as small as it needs to be to allow the cities to continue. If they want to annex and grow more, and quite frankly, I like the idea that if you're in an intersection place with the cities, I don't want my property to be kind of land grabbed by a city because if I ever want to develop that land, I want my land to go into the city that offers the best service because I will get the greatest return on that money by having it go into that city that I choose because they're offering a better level of services. And I've seen some cities here that don't really have service levels established and are meeting them for their existing citizens. So why are we even talking about giving them a larger footprint when they're not even doing that? So that's where I'm at with this.
Well said.
I would support that. So legal, is there any downside to saying we approve the maps presented shrunk down to 1/8 of a mile, any place that they're outside the city limits? Because again, it's as long as the property is contiguous with the city, that's not going to negatively affect any of the annexations. And again, the conversation will continue.
Correct. Idaho Code 676526 is clear in a few different areas. One, county commissioners make the final determination regarding area of impact boundaries within their county. Second of all, county may accept, reject, or modify a city's requested modification or confirmation regarding an impact area boundary. The applicable county's comprehensive plan and zoning and subdivision ordinances shall apply in the area of impact. That's the default rule, unless you decide, to have city-specific regulations, which are also allowed. And then the standard of review, if this were to be appealed to district court, would be whether the decision was arbitrary, capricious, or an abuse of discretion. I think if you have a rational basis for making the decision as to what the area of impact should be, then that would survive that level of scrutiny.
Okay. I don't know if this is an appropriate question for you to ask, but I would agree that this process was a little bit rushed, and I want to continue the conversation. I would also say that since cities do not need a property to be within an AOI to annex it, then that would be my rationale for the 1/8 of a mile.
Okay, my only question would be, what about properties that are completely surrounded by city? Would that still be 1/8 of a mile, or could they all be included?
That's a good question. I think at this point, we may have to do something like the opt-out during the narrative for those cities that are 100% surrounded.
Well, the entire map boundary would include an opt-out. So anyone within an enclave or within the 1/8 mile border would have the opt-out option, right? Because they would have had that anyhow, no matter what size the map is. And two, again, there are sections of area of impact that have been there for years and years and years and years and years, and yet nothing happens. So, and no one can give an absolute assurance that they're going to expand their services within the 5 years, because everything related to annexation is willingly by two parties.
It's fluid.
Yes, in fact, I don't think the city can anticipate who wants to approach them if they haven't already. Who's going to approach them and say, I want to become a member of your city through annexation?
And again, I believe that the current annexations that are in process are already contiguous to the cities, and so if they are outside this eighth of a mile, that process will not be stopped. They will still be able to move forward.
As long as it's continuous, like you
Yes,
said.
yeah.
Commissioners, Ben reminds me of something I believe is written into the state code, new state code, which is we're not supposed to split properties. And so you might just extend that eighth mile to run along the property line of anything
Yes.
caught within that eighth mile.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But it materially doesn't change the mechanics of the process of annexation.
Right.
Even if it were to exclude someone who was in the eighth mile, they could, as long as it was next to the city, they still could allow themselves to be annexed in.
I believe so. I'm just trying to think ahead of things like Coeur. Where I wasn't involved, but that was a pretty big swath. If they caught the first eighth mile of it, would they be able to continue on? I would think so, but you see where I'm going with this?
But it's not the border, right? Does it have to be within the border, or does it have to just be continuous with other city annexed land?
I'm still thinking through your point.
Contiguous.
So if you're not in the border, but you're next to the city, can you still be annexed in?
That much is easy. Yes.
Okay, well then, so the
But-
border's not a requirement. As long as there's a border.
As long as there's contiguity.
As long as there's a border somewhere, right?
Because there's no leapfrogging allowed anyway, right? Everything just has to continue to touch each other as it moves.
Right.
Okay.
But in that Coeur case, as I recall, there were hundreds of parcels of land that had all been accumulated by one or two or three property owners that all came in at one time. I don't know how that would work within their.
Actually, Coeur it's the part of the former, or part of the Armstrong farm, and it was owned by a single property owner. Well, different parcels, but they're all owned by a single property owner.
So, as long as there was.
They might have been different LLCs, but it was, although it was several properties, it wasn't hundreds.
Okay. My only question is, would they have been able to capture all of what they did with an eighth note or an eighth boundary?
And again, I'm happy to have these conversations, and if the cities can come forward with property owners who are in agreement, we can expand the AOIs at another time.
Okay.
Okay?
I think so.
With that said, I'll take a motion.
Oh, boy. All right. I move that we approve the following AOI maps of ORA 25-009, 0012, 0013, 0018, with the caveat that it is relegated to 1/8 outside of city limits, not splitting parcels. So in the containing whole parcels.
1/8 of a mile. If it touches, if it goes into that parcel, then it pulls that parcel in.
Yes. Yep.
Continuous, yes, by parcel.
Yeah, that ensures compliance with state law, as Mr. Callahan indicated.
Yes. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Commissioner Eberline?
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chairman Torrey?
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, and just for staff, I would like, and I don't, if another board member would like this, to continue the conversation on what it would look like for the opt-out process and the ordinances coming forward.
Sounds good. You have a second? It's because I started with a little hammerhead 251. Meeting adjourned.